Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'd like to take a look at a Lucario budget deck. So Lucario is honestly just one of my favorite budget decks to come out in recent years. It came around in the set Brilliant Stars, so yeah, been around for a good while at this point, but honestly still a ton of fun to play. So this Lucario has 120 HP and a very powerful ability and attack. So the ability, Roaring Resolve, says once in your turn, you may put 2 damage counters on this Pokemon, so 20 damage, self-damage, kinda sucks. However, if you do, search your deck for a Fighting Energy card and attach it to this Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. And then the attack for 2 Fighting Energy, Aura Sphere Volley, does a whopping 10 damage, whoopee. However, you discard all Fighting Energy from this Pokemon, and it does 60 more damage for each card you discarded in this way. So if you just use this ability once and you attach 1 energy, then you can do 130. However, if you attach 3 energy, so going first, attach 1 energy, next turn use Roaring Resolve, then you manually attach another energy, you can do 190 damage. So, honestly pretty solid for a single prize stage 1 Pokemon. And of course, you can go even higher than that once you start just evolving Lucarios normally on the bench and using Roaring Resolve in the background. And that's basically just all this deck is, really. It's just like the initial Lucario is there to like 2-shot things and want to kill small Pokemon, but then you kind of just want to move on to, I guess, higher damage output as the game goes on. But yeah, that's kind of the deck in a nutshell. Got some Bibarel draw support, just also from the same set, Brilliant Stars, which is quite convenient if you're like bulk buying one set, I guess. But yeah, it has the ability Industrious Incisors, just allowing you to draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Quite nice with this deck. Also playing 1 copy of Cleffa, which is a pivot, which is nice, free retreat. Also has the attack Grasping Draw, which costs no energy, which is really helpful because, of course, you want all your manual attachments to be going on Lucario. It says draw cards until you have 7 cards in your hand. So yeah, only 30 HP, so you're going to get like 1 use out of this. But yeah, still very useful and, just worth it in the deck, really, just to get some additional draw power in. Also just much cheaper than, the likes of Pheasantipity. Also running 1 copy of Bloodmoon Ursaluna. You can run more copies of this guy if you really want to, but do be careful because if you start with it, it's a retreat cost of 4, and this list in particular is not playing very many switching cards, so it's a bit rough. However, it is a very, very strong secondary attacker in the deck, so it has the ability Battle Hardened that says when you play it from your hand onto your bench, you can attach up to 2 basic Fighting Energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. And we're already playing like quite a number of Fighting Energy anyhow, so kind of makes sense to include this guy. Also has the attack Mad Bite for 2 fighting colors, does 100 damage and 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's basically a guaranteed 2-shot. So effectively what you're trying to do is Lucario does like 130 at the very least, and then you come in there with Ursaluna and you finish it off no matter what it is. So like a Charizard, for example, or a Dragapult. So that's kind of what it's here for. It's basically just a 5th Lucario in a sense. Like, you do have to use Lucario really before you attack, because otherwise 100 is a bit of a waste for 3 energy. But aside from that, a very nice secondary attacker. So yeah, as you probably guessed, 12 basic fighting energy, because we do need to run a lot of energy for Lucario. As for the trainers, it's where things mix it up a bit. We've got a Counter Catcher, 2 Boss's Orders, very split gust effects, because you can go ahead in prizes with Lucario in the early game especially, but Counter Catcher, I do think it's worth it, especially if Cleffa gets knocked out first. Also running 2 Switch, 3 Iono, because I just feel like you have to replete your hand so much in the early game. 2 Super Rod, kind of important. You run a lot of ways to shuffle back energy into the deck, because if you play Superior Energy Retrieval, that's fine and everything, but then you have to get the energy from your hand back into your deck to help Lucario. So, you can't essentially use things like Energy Retrieval. I mean, basic Energy Retrieval might be okay, but Superior Energy Retrieval is sadly a bit useless in this build. So, yeah, a bit of a shame on that front. 4 Buddy-Buddy Poffin, because we're actually not playing any Pokemon with more than 70 HP that are basics, except for Bloodmoon Ursaluna. But we don't want to, put this onto the bench via the deck anyway, because we want to play it from the hand, so that's fine. If you play like Raining Greninja in this deck, which you could do if you really wanted to, then, that would be absolutely fine. But to be honest, I'd probably bump up the counts of Energy Sticker if I was playing Raining Greninja. So Energy Sticker came around from the set 151. Says flip a coin, if heads, attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So a very, very good item card, but, it's a coin flip, so it's a bit risky, but it is at the price of an ability, effectively. It's like the equivalent to one of Lucario's Roaring Resolves, so very much worth it in my eyes. And the rest of the trainers, just kind of like what I'm going for here. Maximum Belt, I know this is supposed to be a budget deck, so if you're building this IRL, A-specs aren't the cheapest things to build. You know, they can be quite expensive, but I would just say play what you have, really. So if you don't have a Maximum Belt, then something like a Hero's Cave is fine, to be honest. Like Great Tree obviously doesn't do anything for this deck. You could also play Neutralization Zone, which if you don't know what this stadium does, let's see if I can get it up. So yeah, if you don't know what this stadium does, it basically just says prevent all damage done to Pokemon that don't have a Roblox, both yours and your opponent's, by attacks from the opponent's Pokemon EX and V. So it basically just makes your Lucario and Bibarel and Cleffa all immune to Roblox damage, which is great, but of course your opponent can play their own stadium to bump it, so it's a bit risky. But that might be one of the cheaper stadiums to acquire, and maybe a cheaper A-spec as well. So, but I like Maximum Belt just to do a bit more damage, really, but again, you don't have to play it, it's just my choice. Also got Defiance Band in here. Again, I just find it quite useful to have a plus 30 modifier, especially after Cleffa's just gone down. Got a Cynthia's Ambition here, which is a very strong draw supporter sometimes. Draw cards until you have 5 in hand, so which is basically just Bibarel. However, if something was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, draw cards until you have 8 instead. So yeah, Cynthia is pretty good. Also, my stadium choices in this deck are a bit weird. We've got a Collapsed Stadium, which is mainly here, also from the set Britain Stars actually. Is also here just to kind of annoy Area Zero decks. Like, you kind of already beat Terrapagos and Miraidon with this deck. I mean, you should be. But, you know, Collapsed Stadium in here to disrupt them even further. Can also disrupt things like Charizard that rely on heavy bench space, but do be careful with this stadium because obviously you don't want them to discard things like Luminion, which you could potentially boss for easy prizes in the late game. So just be careful in that sense, but otherwise a very disruptive stadium overall. It could also be used to bait out their opponent's stadiums, which you could then follow up with a neutralization zone if you're running it. So yeah, just something to consider. Also running Pokemon League HQ. Again, be careful because this will turn off Clef as a free attack. But yeah, attacks used by each base Pokemon in play cost 1 colorless more. Just quite annoying, bit of extra disruption against big basic decks that are like running rampant around the ladder, especially things like Cloth, which attack for double turbo. So, you know, just something to bear in mind. Also got an Earthen Vessel in here just to help find energy. I mean, I'm playing Arven, I may as well play Earthen Vessel. So yeah, seems like a natural inclusion. Capturing Aroma is a bit of a weird one, but it's a 50% chance to find yet another basic, 50% chance to find a Lucario or Bibarel, so I just figured it was a bit more cost effective than Ultra Ball. You know, it's a bit less reliable, of course, but seemed like a nice choice to have. And yeah, that's kind of it for the trainers, the Pokemon, the energy. So yeah, let me know what you think about Bibarel, Lucario down below. Are you sad that it's going to rotate in April? But yeah, it's been our power. And yeah, thank you for watching. So we'll pass over. Next turn, I'll discard Energy Sticker properly and whatever we top deck. And then I'll go find something else. But yeah, as it stands for now, we're still in a pretty good spot because we can quite easily KO Terrapagos thanks to weakness. They can set up the Boufflant stuff, which is quite annoying, but aside from that, we're okay. So not too worried about that. So they get 2 Hoothoot and a Noctowl. Fair enough. I think this must be like a modified version of the starter deck you get. Unless it is a starter deck. Okay, no, because I don't think it came with Pidgey. So yeah, fortunately for us, they can't attack with Terrapagos, but we lose Cleffa, so... But that's okay, because, I mean, we can, like, return KO if we find a basic energy, which we do. That's good. I will Earthen Vessel away the sticker. And then we can find... Okay, so we only got 8 basic energy in deck, have to remember that. And I think we've prized a Lucario, which kind of sucks. Maximum Belt is in the deck, that's good. So we do have a lot of counters to Terrapagos, basically. But what we can do here is just get a KO on them, which is nice. So, Roaring Resolve. And then I'll probably just Iono them, to be honest. Because we're about to take some prize cards anyway, so... Then we attach another energy here. And then we can Iono. I suppose I could have Ultra Balled away Lucario energy there for a other Lucario, but may as well conserve some resources. Can do League HQ. Yeah, I don't mind this idea actually. I will Aroma, and then that way we can get a Lucario or a Bidoof out. Tails gets us a Bidoof, which is absolutely fine by me. Just means we can get Bibarel going next turn. We do also have Super Rod in case they KO us. And yeah, that'll be Aurasphere Valley, or Aurasphere Volley, I should say, for the knockout. So yeah, quite nice against Terrapagos. They can stop us with Bouffalon, but even then, we just need another energy attached and we get a KO, so it's absolutely fine. And fighting and an Ultra Ball. The fighting energy is pretty good. Fighting energy is definitely desirable. So it's a shame we don't get like we won't have a Raihan reprint basically before this card rotates. We could get some form of energy acceleration in the set Journey Together, which is our next main English set, but sadly it'll be too little too late for this Lucario. But if we ever do get more energy acceleration, I'd like to play this deck again expanded, because it's just a lot of fun. You know, it's kind of a switch your brain off and play the game kind of deck. So I guess they can use Fan Rotom here, which is a bit of a shame. Although they will actually need a double turbo attached. So I think my opponent is slow playing. I think they may have salty rage quit, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, here comes Fan Rotom. So they might bump this with their own stadium and then come in with an assault landing, which is okay. Thankfully, we have 120 HP and not 110. Otherwise, that could have been quite awkward, but we'll be fine. So yeah, Roaring Resolve only accelerates one energy, sadly, which is a bit of a shame. But we can use multiple of them per turn, so this Lucario can also use it, which is good. So we can set up for future KOs. It's mainly just two shots with this deck, though, which is a bit annoying. Like, Maximum Belt kind of helps with getting one-shots against some of the slightly bigger basic EXs, but the likes of Miraidon, the likes of Terrapagos, like, all have weakness fighting, which is really good. So what is my opponent doing, or are they just timing out? I think they might just be timing out. Either that or they've disconnected. Your turn. Okay, fair enough. I think it will just say my opponent was inactive for too long or something. Bit frustrating, but can't do much about it. And we do have enough energy to take all 6 prizes this way. So I'll go get the other energy. And I will play it safe a bit and just, you know, keep playing the game as if my opponent was still in it, just in case, you know, they do anything. And I will Arven for, I guess I could get a sticker. Yeah, I'll get a sticker and see what happens. Get Defiance Band, sure, why not? Don't really use Defiance Band that much, but it just seems like an auto-include in this deck, really. Energy Sticker. Please be heads. It's heads. Okay, it's quite nice. So, put an energy down there. I will go ahead and... Will I attach down here? I suppose it means I can't use Maximum Belt, so I'll hold off, actually. I'll attach one here. I could Ultra Ball away a Boss and a Defiance Band for Bibarel, but I think I'll just wait. So then Aurasphere Valley for the KO. Even with resistance, it's a KO, which is nice. So we'll have to rod some basic energy back into the deck. But we do get a prize card. I've got a feeling the last few prizes will just be my opponent was inactive or something. But we'll see. So yeah, 3 energy in the discard pile. Can probably rod them all back in. This is why I feel like you need a secondary attacker, by the way, is because you want to dedicate most of your rod support to basic energy. and you can't really play Superior Energy Retrieval because then you have to shuffle it back into the deck with something like Judge or Iono. So it does seem, a bit pointless to use Superior Energy Retrieval. I don't think Energy Recycler is still in format. Pretty sure that rotated out. So what was it? Fanrotum, Pidgey, Hoothoot, Octal. Yeah, they've gone inactive. Disappointing, to be honest. Pretty disappointing when you're trying to record games, but it is what it is. I will record more gameplay in the future, by the way. I enjoy Lucario too much. But yeah. Okay, fair enough. Fair dues. Maybe it was a real connection issue, and I'm just giving them unnecessary flack, but yeah, I don't know. Feels weird.